It's as much my chair as I tell you every day, huh? I didn't do anything. It's a lot easier to look in the eye when I'm not weighing up here. Notice that. That's impressive. That's not a bad way to start today. Let's just read what you just said.
I think you would be sarcastic.
Bummer. Yeah, we did.
So first up is appeal WU923Q, which is Jeremy Korn. If you're here, if you step up to the podium, or do we just talk about it? Or do you
Talk to it.
Okay, talk to it.
So the appeal puts the building value at 140, the land value at 48 for an assessed value of 188,000. $73,789. And you can see the comps that the county provided in there, as well as the comp provided by by Mr. Korn. The only thing I would go on here, the comps provided by the county are properties that are probably in more updated shape, more recent condition than the subject property.
Can you tell when the last building permit was pulled on this property? Because
if there's anything recent, it's going to be on the county's sheet here. There was one pulled in January of 2015 for a miscellaneous permit for $3,200.
But I think I remember this house. I think they closed off the garage.
Yeah, you can see it on the photo.
And made it in, like, added a room.
It could be.
Which would
I
probably...
think it's a detached garage.
No. The one I'm looking at here, it's got like a solid wood
Like a seat
with permanent windows in it.
So if you look at page 3 in your packet for this one, you'll see a floor plan, site plan. Still recognizes it as a garage on this plan.
I guess, and then when I look at when it was purchased and what it was purchased for, and that for 1, 2, 3, 4 years before it got up to the purchase price.
So at 235 last year.
Yeah.
I don't even go lower than that.
Well, that's my question. I mean, did that adding that garage and closing that off and making it more living space?
That's been closed off for a long time.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
that's
noticed
been
it.
closed off for a long time.
Like, what's a long time?
Several years.
Like before they bought it in 2018?
I believe so.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No. But not at all.
So it went up 16, just over 16% from 22 to 23.
16%.
Which is in line with what we're seeing.
Values of homes.
A lot of assessments have gone up, teens or 20s.
Well, I think the values of homes have gone up
Correct.
ridiculously high.
All right, what do we think?
1,264 square feet, 100 square feet.
Well, I think you have to add in that attached garage to another.
How would I finish square feet?
I would know.
Depends on how you look at it though, because
'Cause
now
it
you
shows
took
that as
away the
garage.
garage.
Because on the bottom, if you click on the county's one and scroll down, it says garages, attached frame built 1975. And then it says detached frame built 1975.
There's two garages. There's one that's.
One detached and
The
one
one
detached.
attached, yeah.
There's one that's, I think, closed off in a room,
Yep.
which would be more finished square footage.
Of living space, right?
Yeah, more, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like when you finish your basement, you get more square footage, livable.
This is what they call them, 1,264.
Yeah, so
See that,
There's a
that
detached
480
garage on this
square
property.
foot.
well, look, they got the main lower level 1254. What's the EP? What is that?
Where?
It's a deck.
Look on the floor plans on page 3.
Enclosed porch.
Enclosed porch. Okay, that's 544. The garage is 480. And there's a slab. What is on that?
Concrete?
Yeah, it's just.
Credit card.
Okay, so it's like a parking slab. Okay.
Yeah.
How can we make the assumption that's living space?
Right.
Well,
And that's
that's,
on our
that's,
job.
that's why it would be great.
I think
I think we just deny it. But I think we just deny the approval, and then he has the appeal, then he has the opportunity to go and present again at the county.
Yeah.
Well,
Instead of-
if we deny it though, it doesn't go, can they still go to the county?
They can still
That's
do
where it
it.
goes on here now.
If
If we approve it, they go, like, we don't approve anything anyway, so it's,
So you have
we're just making recommendations.
options here. You can approve the county's assessed value. You can reduce it.
Recommend to reduce it, right?
Well, there's no change or you can change the valuation.
But it still goes
Telling
back.
the appellant to go to county is not a
Right,
decision.
right.
Decision must be
So
no
you have to
change,
make
change classification or change
But
valuation.
even if we say,
Even if
No
we
change.
approve the county's assessment,
Right.
They can still
appeal
go
to the
and
they can
county.
appeal that to
if
the
we deny, or if we
Recommend something.
recommend something different, the county still has to approve it, and they can still go.
No, I think if you,
I think if we lower it,
right,
that's the assessed value.
right,
By the or lower.
Really?
Yeah.
yes.
That's new.
I don't, last year we were told that no matter what we did, it still had to go to the county, and they decided.
It goes to the county, but they take the recommendation of the local board,
Generally, yeah.
yes.
So they still have to approve the massive list.
But generally, they would take some recommendations.
But let's say we make a recommendation and approve to lower it to 230,000, and he's still unhappy with that. He can still go to the county and dispute the 230, correct?
I would assume so.
I would think so, that I don't know the answer to that.
You could appeal that decision.
understand what people's options are. I guess I will make a motion for no change from the county's assessment of $273,789.
I would consider a reduction from 16% down to 11%, as that's more in line with, I think, appreciation. And if you did 11% math on last year's valuation, it comes.
But does last year's valuation include the new finished space or not? That's the part where, like, I would be all on board hearing him out on whatever that is. That's,
So he's not here,
he's not here, that's why I did it, just to move it forward.
and he wasn't one we're supposed to call?
You'll know before you're supposed to call.
If they don't show up, I agree with your comment, but if they're not gonna show up to argue,
It's not even an argument, it's just information.
I know, but
Yeah.
we don't know the information, so,
Right. So if we deny, if we move forward, they can then go to the county and.
right? I mean,
That sounds reasonable. Thank you.
Can I second Chad's motion?
The motion is second to deny the appeal and stay with the county's assessment. Any further discussion there? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We will move on to Appeal B492RD, Jason Fox.
Mayor and Council, Equalization Board, excuse me. County requests a value on this one at $591,728. That's an increase from $524,824. Appellant is requesting a value of $520,000.
So, a little over 2 years ago, November 2020, I got an appraisal of $451. Obviously, that was 2 years ago. There's been changes since then. But when I look at comparables and I go out to the Meadows, which to me is probably the only real comparables that you could use, if I look at, I don't necessarily want to use names, but if I use Brian Spader's house that sold out there recently, he's getting assessed this year at $483,000, $100,000 less than me for the same year. It's similar square footage, plus I think he completely redid everything, if not mostly everything. I mean, it's all over Zillow, and you can see what he did on the inside.
Is it 201 Poplar?
207 Poplar.
Yeah, 201 is different.
Yeah. So, obviously it sold for $595,000, so there's two parts here, like what's really a house worth, and the other side, what it's assessed at, you know, so in my deal, I just want to be, I'm not even saying I should be assessed it, because I think probably 43 obviously isn't right, but if you look at that one versus what it's sold, if you look at Kuiper's, Kuiper's at 433, you know, $160,000 less than me. His sold for 565. So to me, they either got to do it right, like everybody gets assessed to where it is, and they pay. I don't understand why I would pay an extra $2,500 more than Spader's on a house that's worth more than mine. You know, I mean, in theory, it's square footage. He's got it updated.
I'm guessing next year that one's gonna fly because the sale was probably done.
Right. But if you even take, you know, Wagner's house, which is obviously a nice house, you know, that's $100,000 assessed less. And I've been in there several times, and it's a really nice house. I'm not sure exactly where it is square footage wise, but I mean, it's really close. So it just seems like I'm hundreds of thousands away, and I think if everybody's out there and everybody's right, I'm in it. But why would there be certain people that are way up, you know, essentially, and even if you looked at Mike's house, I think that might be 590, like right where mine's is, but his is newer, nicer, you know what I mean? I don't, you know, I don't, even if I would go back and if I was being fair, well, I should be appraised at like what Kuiper's house is. This next year, I should be paying on that. Even if next year I take a hit just like he does, right? At least saving $1,500. But what I'm saying is I'm not necessarily after that, but it's got to be somewhat fair, in my opinion, to what it should be. So even if it was, a couple of years ago, the appraised at 451, if it's 7% a year or 7.5% or whatever.
Last year you were at 525,
Right.
so you went up 12.7% to this year's as well.
And I don't even know if last year was right, but one year I'm like, man, that really sucks. But whatever, I think everybody's getting it. But then 2 years, I'm like, whoa, I better do some checking here. This doesn't make a lot of sense.
I feel you're paying. I feel you're paying.
Right.
Would you take 520 for it? If someone came and offered you 520, would you sell it for that if you wanted to move?
Well, there's two sides. Probably not. Maybe. But there's two sides. Okay, are we going to go look at everybody's? And so then you're going to change Kuiper's right now?
We don't look at everybody.
I know, but I'm just saying, this is what the assessed in this. So if everybody else is getting assessed $120,000 less this year, why would I be the only one that, when it's not necessarily exactly what they'd sell it for? Because obviously Kuiper's was sold for $565,000. And
I'm guessing next year it'll be 565,000 when this time comes around.
and that's fine, but they
No,
had
I
they
get
had it like this year.
No, I
right?
get you.
They're paying on this, and I'm paying on this. What are they gonna do mine next year? They might raise mine another 20%. It's it's kind of, to me, it's just gotten out of line of where my house is, and you're gonna get jacked like everybody else is. But when when you're already up high, it's like what? It doesn't make any sense. Even if I would go to, based on even Kuiper's sale, yeah, I might get 525. You know what I mean? Because what's it cost to update the whole level of your house? Probably not $60,000. You know what I mean? It might be more than that. And it's, if you look at it, it's just all updated. A nicer neighborhood. So I mean, it just makes sense to me. Like, okay, he's even saying my value, if I look at it, is around that 520 level because he just sold. Even if. So I'm not saying go down to where he is. I'm saying that it's got to just be in line. That way, when they start hitting me with lumps like everybody else, at least it might be on.
So like 525 last year, you'd be comfortable with that? Fair?
Yes.
Fair?
I mean, do I think it's fair 100%? No, because I'm paying more this year than all these other guys, when in theory I don't think I should. But I'm not trying to do all that. So if it's fair, I pay more, at least it's more in line, so that I don't, what I mean, as I go up, I go with everything else. And I think, actually, my property, my land value is taking a huge hit. I've lost a lot of trees. The city hasn't been able to protect me from semi-trucks idling right next to me, no matter what I do. I gotta call the cops and beg them to go over there. So I mean, is that a hit to my value? I think so. When you lose a whole row of trees and you got semi-trucks idling next to your house. So is it something we hope to get fixed? I rebuild that back up. Somehow the city could figure out how a semi-truck can't idle in the middle of the night. Then obviously my value of my land goes back up. Because there is more land there than there is, like in the meadow. So that's,
I don't understand why your land, like forever it was 31.5, and then they bumped it up to 38.2, and then this year it's now 66. That doesn't make sense to me.
well, especially how pissed I off am when a semi-truck idling next to my house at 3 o'clock in the morning. No, I know, but I'm saying that's the value of the, you know what I mean?
No,
They're just, I don't know what they use for their things, but, I'm using the meadows,
Here's what you actually get.
and I'm using things that have sold.
But it is different than living on a drive, living on a highway, and living next to
Right.
idling trucks is different than living on a drive, like where, like where I'm at.
Where your
where
kids
there's
can
not-
ride their bikes all around and all that stuff, so, like I said, I just,
You mentioned that you're not sure what they're using, so the comps are provided here. So 201 Hoffer Drive, 518 9th Ave, West 9th Ave, and 400 North Cherry. Those are the comps used on this one.
which I've never even seen yet,
Sorry.
the comps.
Those are what they're comparing it to, and they give the whole report on each of them.
And your property is more than twice as much property. So it's worth twice as much.
But what do they assess that?
Because he's got 0.73 acres and like the 201 poplar is 0.26, so you're like almost 3 times the yard, so
With
that
some of
makes
the looking
sense.
at 30 more finished square feet.
Right.
So
It
at the
makes
end of
sense
the
that
report
it's-
that we get is here.
Even at 12.75%, that we had a lot from last year.
Right, the range they're using.
Let's say 12, but your
12.75.
tax value, your assessed value, it's like your actual value.
That's about a line on that.
No, we talked about it before. Your assessed value is your market value.
Since when?
Equalized
That's,
is,
that's what they're
You
trying
pay
to
your
get
equalized,
to.
you pay taxes on your equalized
Right.
value, which is about 85% of your
Yeah,
assessed
so
value.
you're assessed at 591, you're getting taxed on 495,000.
I just looked on what everybody else is being assessed and what I'm being assessed. I don't know the calculation back, but the reality is, why would everybody else be able to be
I
included?
think your counts aren't complete, it's not like an exact apples to apples, that's what we're trying
Yeah, yeah,
to understand, is like what are the differences.
right.
they're looking at square footage, cost per square foot more than anything. That's what they, right, and the 3 comps they pulled, Jason, they're all at least 600 square feet smaller, finished square feet smaller than your place. So when they do the math on the square foot of these comps valued at, 470, 426, or 540,
Going by price per square
422, right, and then they do the math on the price per square foot.
Like this
They-
one, the
Yours
201,
goes up considerably because you've got 30% more finished square feet than those homes.
100%, but then what comps should you pull? Why wouldn't you pull the comp of Spader's house and which is newer, once again, newer, and,
Right.
or even,
So
Kuipers,
the question
they
of the
pick
comps
whatever
they
they
hold
want.
is
Yeah.
a great question for the county,
right?
not for us, because we didn't do any of that.
My guess is that, so they put the comp map on the last page too. My guess is that they pull these from different neighborhoods. They tried, they've got one from Meadows, the one from North Cherry, it's relatively new, and the one from South Meadows, it's relatively new. Or relatively same time frame. I should
Yeah,
say.
it's not new.
Yeah. Beyond that, I'm not sure how they pull their comps.
So what's our best thing to do for a citizen in this case where he's not feeling the comps that were pulled are representative of his actual value? Is that now, is he best served with us not making a recommendation and letting him appeal directly to the people that assembled the assessment?
You can make any decision, and that decision, I just looked it up, whatever decision you make can be appealed if the appellate appeals agrees. So if you feel that whatever this board comes to is still not the right number, you can still appeal that.
No, I
To
get
the
it,
county.
but then I gotta go do all that.
So,
You know what I mean? My thing is, can't common sense come into play? You know what I mean? It just seems like to me like common sense should really come into play. And everybody knows that the Meadows, and everybody knows that the houses out there, what they're assessed at. So I just don't understand why common sense, that's a technicality. That means go change the comps and this calculation ends up being this, and that. But it just seems like I'm not saying go down to where these guys are at, assessed for the year. I'm just saying, can you get me closer to where its actual value is? And I'm not even saying, that, whatever. I'm just saying, can you get me closer to where the actual value is? Not even if I disagree with half the assessments around of what they're paying next year versus me. And my thing is, if you're gonna do it right, do it right. Just, so they pull these different comps and calculate mine this way, but then they go out there and they don't calculate those all the same. Even out there, you can go, actually, there's certain people out there that would probably go, why, how can this be right next to the next door, and I'm assessed this, it just seems like they should do it right. And obviously, they aren't doing it really right. I'm not saying, but I don't wanna do a bunch of work more for this, if I have to, I have to, but, it's.
Here's what I will say based on the comps that they pulled. So they were September of 22, July of 22, August of 22.
for sales,
For sales, those are
Right.
the sale dates.
Yep.
Those are like the highest times in the history of home sales. And the ones that we're using as comps sold for $525, sold for $499, sold for $549. One has more land than Jason's, but it's 10 years older. One has a third less land than Jason's. It's roughly the same age. I would say, something that would be quasi-fair to do. Take 15% off whatever the sale price is, divide out the square footage, and then multiply it by his square footage. Would you think that's fair? I don't know what the
I
math
can't do
is.
the math in
I
my
haven't
head,
done it in my head, so I have
You
no
know, I don't
idea.
know.
But
Could
it
be.
seems reasonable.
Right.
No,
I mean,
the
I don't-
assessment.
How accurate do we
is-
know these square footage are? Because a lot of times they don't include basements, you don't know.
Well, these are based
These
on
should
the
be
house
fairly
sales.
accurate.
So none of these houses have basements?
Excuse me.
Well, I'm guessing that is the above ground.
So if you look at the reports on these, the first page of every one of these, you'll see, total gross living area. They'll show you the basement area and basement finished area.
And are they using the basement finished area as part of the square foot?
No.
Like in Jason's, they've
What's
got,
your main floor?
they've got 1,000 living quarters, basement finished area on this. Total 2454 finished square feet. His full basement is 1,578. So of that 1,578, they're counting 1,000 square feet as finished, so.
Hey, which that makes
So they're
sense.
included in that.
Yeah.
They're included.
You don't know
So-
about like your utility or any
No.
part of it.
Right.
So GIS shows,
But then whenever I look at like, the comp used, what is it, 518 West 9th, they have that one listed on the report I looked at with 1,695 square feet, but it has 1,556 basement area with 1,586 living quarters down there. So they have 300 square feet upstairs?
That's comp two.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a
That doesn't add
the
up.
basement living area
Doesn't
is
make any
not,
sense.
the basement living area is not calculated into that total gross.
It sounds like it is for Jason's.
Right, it is for his.
Well, it might not be, because don't you have 2 levels?
Yeah, he does. So you've got 1,500,
What's on the upstairs?
you got 1,569 on the main, upstairs 876, and lower level 1,000.
So they don't count the basement at all then?
No, but a lot of the, like in those 2-story houses, like I've been over to Jason's house. That main walk-in area is a huge void of wasted space. Sorry.
It's finished.
But they count it as finished space and a lot of square
Yeah.
footage, but it's,
Right.
I mean, it looks cool when you decorate it for Christmas or.
I'd love to pay taxes on the only parts of the house that I use.
No, but I'm just saying, it's not, but for a 2-story home, they have that where it carries up through 2 floors, whereas you walk into my landing on a ranch, and I don't get double drilled for the wasted space. It doesn't, sorry, but it doesn't add value.
So you're saying his basement is calculated in, but the others are not?
It's not, he's got an upstairs, like
He's got a
story and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you looking at that total gross on the appeal sheet there on the property report?
Yeah.
You'll see, total gross living area, 2454.
Yep.
That's on his main and second level. In
Above
addition to that, there's 1,000 finished feet in the basement.
He's got like 16 on the main and 8 above.
And so
And then
And the others have no basement?
Yeah, they do.
They do, but it's not included in this.
So the others are smaller houses than
So,
what he's
but I think that's to Jason's point, why are they not all the same? If I have livable space.
Well, they are. It's everything above grade, everything above ground.
Yeah, they don't count.
Jason just has a story and a half above ground. They just a ranch.
Okay.
That's what I was getting to with like that big open area in the middle. Like my house doesn't have the double bang in it.
But see, I had a debate with this assessor about her basement is not finished, but she was including that in our assessment. And that's, to your point, is, I'm like, so why, because nothing down there is legal. So why is our basement included in your?
Is it finished?
So you still,
Carpet anything?
it's
carpet
all,
But it's not
Sheet rock
legal.
or-
Yeah, sheet rock at some point, so.
all of it is figured into your total assessed value. It's all calculated in. It's not like they, whether it has a basement or not, doesn't matter. That does matter. Whether it's finished or not does matter. What they're looking at is a similar type of home, built in a similar time frame, in a similar condition, and a similar build. And what they're using then is the assessed values divided by that square footage to come up with that second to last page. Am I explaining this pretty clearly?
Which is the 241 per square foot value that they're landing on. And the comps,
So they come up with, the county on this property came up with $241 a square foot. The cost method, so what would cost for one of these homes, $245 to $262 a square foot. And based on the market, so the comparables, the purchase prices, that'd be $293 to $318 a square foot.
Where you get that information?
That's on the second
Second
to
to
last
last
page,
page.
that county PDF.
What if we, last year the inflation was 9%, it's 11% this year, correct? So what if we did, so last year he was
It's 12.75.
19%, right? Last year we went up by 19%. And this year they're trying to do 12.5%. So what if we went down and did a total of 21%, sorry. 9 and,
on a 2-year aggregate,
right, 9 and 11, so we did a total of the,
I don't like that because house values does not match inflation values. I think that's a slippery slope.
I was gonna say 528, 424.
I mean, there's a lot of ways to calculate it, but I think common sense says there's two houses that just sold, like.
But how do I don't know, I haven't been to your house, I haven't been to the other house, I don't know how, like, is it the same exact house? I don't think so.
No,
How do I know your house is equal value to that house that's sold?
We're not gonna be able to be to anybody's house that's here,
Exactly.
right?
Honestly, neither is the county.
Why not? I agree.
They're just,
They did drive-bys this last year.
subtext.
Yeah,
Right.
that's how I got to ours.
but I mean, I just think, I get that, but in the grand scheme of it, I'm not trying to say it's not, I'm just saying a whole updated, similar square footage, in a better neighborhood, sold for $595. You know what I mean? And I don't understand how I would get that. I couldn't sell it for that. I know I couldn't sell it for that. And but besides the fact that that's assessed at $483, you know what I mean? Well, there's got to be a little bit of fairness to, like, you're gonna go.
I think we can agree that that house isn't assessed properly currently.
And I would say that the 5 that I got in here at the Meadows, that I got right here, are not, none of them are appropriately. So I just don't, are you gonna go to every one of these guys and say, hey, by the way, your house, you know what I mean, or whatever?
Well, we don't set any home, just to
I
be
know,
clear.
I know.
We're just here to help review.
But like even Hurley's, if you start at a certain level, they just keep giving you a percentage. You know, Hurley's house is the highest valued house out there, and it's not the nicest house out there. It's whenever you know, you gotta fight this at some point to get it to a point where it's supposed to be, so that when you get these rates and they drive by and give it to you.
Have you ever talked to him about his assessed value?
Yeah.
Because when he built it, you know, he called the county and argued that it should be higher.
That's
That's probably why it
He
started.
was trying to get, is the way he had it financed.
No, I know, but that, I
And
mean,
he
that's,
needed farmland and all this stuff and
I
everything
know, but
value.
he-
I know, but still, once again.
that's
you know,
why his is higher.
Right, but, you know, there's gotta be some rhyme or reason, in my opinion. I mean,
I
not
would
just-
agree with you on one part of this, that the land value, jumping it up that much is not anywhere as close to fair.
that was a 30K jump.
30K jump in a year. And you lost trees.
And I got semis, Nate, still got semis over there.
All right, what's our recommendation?
So it's a recommendation just to leave it at the 524. From last year, 2022, or go up to 12.5.
So why should he not have his raise at all when everyone else got it?
That's what I'm asking, I'm just throwing something on the table.
I think that's
12.5.
that's a scary precedent to set too, that should go from zero increase from last year.
So the average is about 12.
But what if you went 19% the year before, you never should have gone 19%?
We should have.
But there's a bulk of properties that did that.
Yeah.
Right, and I suggest they probably come up and see where they're at. Once I went and looked around, it didn't make a lot of sense to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's the thing, they're just gonna go a percent. Eventually it has to be right, and then they'll just go the percent.
Well, you can't just do a flat percent on everyone if everyone isn't starting at the right level.
Right, but that's kind of what they do, I think.
No,
5%.
that's what they've started doing.
Right, they're really close. It's not like you gotta be at the right level when they jump this percent, then it makes sense as the town.
Right, their goal is to come up with a number of what you and your realtor would put on your house when you go to sell it. Then they use that number and hit it with an 80 or 85%
In his case, it was 17%
Equalization.
less, is what he's assessed at.
But, and I get what they're trying to do, but why wouldn't they do that amongst the whole town?
I don't know what they're.
I think they're trying to do that amongst the whole town.
We can't fix. They're not there yet.
They don't get everybody's raise.
Well, it's not the same person doing it either. I mean, there's probably 6, 7 different assessors that run the town last fall. So it's,
I mean, I think everybody pays their fair
There's a
share.
four-
There's not some people pay more just because the assessor went around and said the one thing. You know, like, you gotta be the same, and I'm in. It's just they gotta be kind of fair with everybody else. Why would everybody pay their share instead of some people, well, because you got jerked around because the assessor said this, and now it's not of value. Now you can't say no percent, because that's not fair. Well, okay, then you're gonna go up on a percent, if that's how it's gonna work. You just gotta get it right one time, I think. And it's gone from, you know, year to year to year, crazy. And once again, it was like, okay. And then I'm like, man, you gotta be kidding me. And then I started looking around. You know, it used to be
8%.
370,880 is
Yeah.
what you were assessed at.
19 and 20.
Both years, 19 and 20, no increase. Yeah.
And it went to 440, and then 524, and then 591.
right. I mean, you're talking whatever was it, $300,000, $320,000 in 2 years. You know, and once again, I understand that it was not everybody was assessed wrong back then, and they made some jumps, but I think they got to get right on some houses. You know what I mean? You could look even at Olson's house out there. You look at, you know, there's nobody. You know, there's lots of houses that aren't necessarily assessed right. I'm just trying to get somewhere in the range.
So
I just-
his house went up from 486 to 525. That's an 8% increase. His land went up much more than that. If you increase his land by that same 8%, it puts his total assessment at 567,044.
If we use the same assessment for land that they did house,
Right.
I think there's logic to that.
Yeah, I don't understand why your land jumped that
Right.
much. That doesn't make any sense to me.
But I don't,
my guess is because it didn't change from 21 to 22,
or from 19 to 20.
or from 19 to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what, okay.
Is it buildable property? Can you add another house on that? Right, so it's still just the same dirt. Yeah.
My only question is, do we really believe that land increased by that?
Bare land that's developable,
In what?
absolutely.
In what?
But when it's
But
not,
it's already
it doesn't
developed.
have an eligibility on it, correct? I don't believe it did.
I don't believe it went up probably in the land. Because you are right. I mean, no offense, but you are in a crappy spot.
I also overpaid for it to start. Because I wanted it for some damn
United
reason.
Confession.
You know what I mean? So you just put it off right out, so, yeah. Thanks my wife for that.
It's on public record, just, you know.
Val can go back and watch.
Yeah. I told you already.
So give me that math again, Chad.
8%.
So going from 486, 581 to 525, 742 with an 8% jump. You take that same percentage on the 38, 243. It puts the land value instead of 65, 986 at 41, 302. And it gives the total assessed value from 591, 728 to 567, 044. So then his jump from 22 to 23 is about 8%, which is much lower than mean.
Right.
Like his argument is that this 22 is maybe a little high.
And I think we'll hear that repeatedly.
Yeah.
I think that's good math, and I think we need to keep that in mind as we continue this.
So 567,044 is the number. Anybody want to make a motion there?
When you make the motion, make sure that you put in the value for the land and the value of the structure.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll make a motion to adjust the assessment to leave it at 525, 742 for the structure and change the land to 41,302, a total of 567,044.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll recommend 567,044.
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got
But I have a second.
F383RM, Dana Hood.
For the county, assessed this property at 172,046. Appellant requests 135.
I guess I'm in the same boat. Went up 20% last year. It went up, I'm not sure how much the year before that. You guys probably got them numbers there.
You went from 72 and 767 and 20 to 115 584 up to 142 644 to 172 146.
Okay, what was the percentage the first year you called?
Doesn't have that.
Okay. Well, you're looking what?
Yeah.
3-4 years, you're looking 100 grand.
This year, from 22 to 23, you went up 20.6%.
Yep.
20.6.
The house was built in 1910. Don't have no central air, still have a boiler heat. I've done no updates. I've poured the driveway, insulated, and sheetrocked the garage. I've owned it since 2011. I don't know if you guys know who I am or not. I don't see any familiar faces here or not. I moved to Worthy in 1972. Graduated from Lennox in 1986. I lived in Colorado from 86 to 99, and I've been back here since 99. I went through divorce in 2010. I bought this place that I'm in now. Concentrated on my son. Haven't done any updates. So, living in the house now, and one bedroom. There's only one legal bedroom. It has to have a closet to be a bedroom. We have one closet in the house. Okay? One outlet in the master bedroom. Okay? Built 1910. Okay? For me to sell it, I have to put shingles on it, windows, update to a forced air furnace, AC. It's just ridiculous. It's pricing me out of my comment. So,
His line jumped up pretty good too.
Yeah, it's the same now.
there's actually no comparables. Otherwise, I would have comparables.
Did you get the list of the county's comparables?
I did.
Did you review this? Who's the local county provider?
Okay.
So 416 East 4th, 413 South Cedar, and 212 East Rye. We can go through these two and see what we're looking at.
What about building permits? Has there been any building permits on? Remodels?
Kitchen remodel on this one and 18.
Okay. I think you'll find that out, that all these comparables are
Just on that one.
The countywide comparables, though, they have ones that were just recently sold.
But there's this more. I think it was.
Yeah, they're looking at sale numbers on these.
Yeah. There's one just east of me about 2 houses.
That sold recently.
That just sold recently. That was a flipper.
But they flipped it.
Yeah. That was a flipper. I thought about selling at 216, but then I was told by the realtors I was going to remodel, and they said, no, don't remodel, because people are going to just come in and do what they want. You're just going to be wasting your money. So that's why that kind of delayed my updates also. So.
This was you.
That's, yep, yeah.
This one sold in 22.
Yeah, it just sold.
And sold in 20.
So it sold in 22 for 81. Or, no, that's the one.
That is really odd that his land on the
That's the one. Yeah, that's.
Like the first thing I look at, all the, like, that's exactly what happened to Jason too, it is just double. Alright, it doesn't.
And his house went up 20%, 20.6.
Yes.
He doesn't, I mean, seems like
I'm not seeing that. Last year was the, like, what's the right one?
Yeah, it was like
or
7%.
that's the total amount.
Total. If you do just the house, it's like that 7%, so if you do the same math you did, Jason, we're getting, you'd be at 152,797 if we increase your land the same rate that your house increased.
And that was 7%.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Like right now, you're currently being taxed at $134,656.
134.
Yeah. So, I don't know what that percentage is, but that was from 142,644.
Okay, you lost me there because it says here assessed value 142,644.
But the next net taxable value, so what you're actually being taxed on, the value of your home is 134,656
of the house
on the property.
on the property.
So your assessed value
It's higher than your
Tax.
tax value.
taxable is different.
I don't think they're on there because I don't remember seeing that. We can
Well,
see it
this
on
is
We can.
134,656.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's 2022 and these are 2023.
Right,
Okay.
I see what you're saying. Yep.
Yep, okay.
So you pay in 23 and 4.
I'm inclined to follow that, that same thought process we used with the previous property.
8% on land.
Now,
I don't,
look at what they did from 120 to 129 on the structure, is that right?
Yeah.
121 to 129.5.
Yep.
Right, and that was a 7%
7.1%.
jump, so use that same math on the land. You don't like.
I don't like that
increasing the
math.
land?
I don't like that. on
Let's
the
find
land
out.
at all. Like, to me, it's not, doesn't go up in value. You're not gonna sell part of your land, you're not gonna, I mean, it,
What if the county is trying to increase the value of the land for everybody? What if we look at all of these and they're all doubled across town,
My land went up.
you know?
Likewise.
I didn't even look at that.
They did.
I didn't,
I
I'm
think
not
it's just across the
significantly,
board.
but I don't.
Yeah, but I get trying to increase land
Right.
values, but what I think's happening is they're looking at the
Right.
raw land sales out in countryside, and that's a different situation than inside of Lennox. I mean, it's brand new infrastructure, brand new everything, brand new houses, I mean, that's different land value than an established area.
Then why doesn't the 7% make sense? Or 8%?
Because why would his land go up 7% of value, nothing has changed for it? Did you do any landscaping?
That's just.
Well, that's-
It's not that
That's just how it works.
education.
But that,
It doesn't stay the same.
it doesn't work. Clearly.
I'm not just talking about Lennox land though, just land in general across the state. If, they were looking in 2021 at structure and now they're focusing on the land.
Right.
And we're just feeling it 2 years in a row.
Yeah, they're just looking for a piece to add on to.
It's strange that the land didn't change from 21 to 22 and the house, the structure changed
They
dramatically.
didn't want to do it all at
Dramatically.
once though.
And then,
That's what confuses me because there's been absolutely no updates.
Right.
That's, I mean,
Well, to that point though, houses, even without updates, the values have gone ridiculous. I mean,
why?
Well,
people
that's-
pay.
You take a house 113 years old, that's built this year, do you think it's gonna be around for 113 years? Or
No,
is it gonna
no, it won't.
Okay,
But that's not, don't be mad at us, that's not.
well, I'm just saying, that's my flip side.
Like, I would prefer your house, because you know,
Exactly.
in a fire, your house won't burn as fast as my house or your house. No, it's proven.
They're not gonna last forever, no house.
And they're made with dimensional lumber. I would argue that,
Yeah. The flip side of that though is when you do a remodel, it costs a lot more because you got everything. You have full dimensional lumber, nothing's squared. You gotta square it off, it takes so much more time. You got laths, you got sheetrock. I mean,
I just tore apart and redid one, not too that far long ago, I don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
That's why we
Yeah.
haven't done it.
you know, Steinforth is across the street from, across to the, right, the neighbor. Their house is assessed at only like 15,000 more than ours, and it has been completely updated on the main level. It has new siding, new roof, new garage, new.
Just for me, it doesn't matter to me what anyone else's has or their house is assessed at or anything like that. Like, that doesn't matter to me. Just me personally, I don't know about anyone
It's,
else.
right, but it's
Because
just
basically
dollar-
what-
it's just we're comparing the dollar amount.
No, I,
Right, the value of it.
Yeah, the value. You know,
And to me, their house would be valued more, a lot more than ours would,
why?
because it has all those updates on it.
if I
It
were to
has a
sell
triple
my,
garage, it has the new air, it has AC, it has forced air, or central, or the heating, it has an updated main level, it has new siding on it, new windows. So yeah, it would be, and it's not assessed that much more than ours.
yeah. If I were to sell, if I were to get 172 for my place, that's what I'd have to do, is put new shingles on it, do all that.
I
Okay,
think
so
we can ask the question then, what would you sell it for today?
what would I sell it for today?
You-
Would I sell it? Is that your question?
I'm saying we can't ask that.
No.
If we're not,
right.
if we're not
Right.
gonna allow you to tell us what your neighbor's
Right.
doing, then we
Right.
can't ask you what you
Okay.
would sell it for.
Right.
Yeah, okay,
So you're asking me that?
no,
No,
no, she's not.
No, she's being mean to me.
But you know,
That's what she's doing. She's telling me to shut up.
Right.
my thought is,
I would do a price comparison, okay, to my house, okay? And then whatever the middle of the road is, I would minus sheetrock, I would minus windows, siding, you know, all that stuff. Cause that's what I would have to put into the house to sell it for that price, to answer your question, is what I have to do. And you know the price of shingles, windows, siding, I mean, so to answer the question, that's,
but even the house to the east that got flipped sold for probably what, 80? And they flipped it, you know,
Yeah.
back then.
81, it's assessed at
Yeah.
150 this year, 160.
Right, but they turned around and flipped it all.
yeah, there
So
was,
it's, yeah,
So is there a way we can use this? It's the second to last page. It's the assessed value per square footage. It gives us an average of the cost is 134 to 175. They're at 153, and then the market purchase price is 173 to 233. I think I can agree with him that if they wanted to put it on the market and get that market comparable purchase price, they're gonna have to stick money into that house to get it up to that point. So assessing them at that 173 to 233 doesn't make sense. They're a little below that, but is that 153 appropriate for their house? Or should that value per square footage be some ratio based on condition? I don't know. I don't know how we get there and be consistent with it.
That's what I'm looking for. So we actually have rhyme and reason as to how we're doing this for everybody.
you know, and it's one bedroom. You know, it's a one bedroom house. It's not
I mean,
two
yes,
The
bedrooms.
county report has us at a 3-bedroom house.
We have one closet in the entire house, so it's one bedroom.
I don't think a closet, it's egress windows.
Yeah, you just have to mean
You don't have egress windows? I mean, we have
Upstairs-
one, we have
upstairs you don't need
upstairs,
yeah.
You don't
we
need-
have, upstairs we have rooms, but there's no closets.
But is there a window you can crawl out of?
If there's a fire, can you?
It doesn't have to have a
It
closet.
doesn't have to have closet to be considered a bedroom anymore?
No.
To be, okay,
No problem, okay.
cause we thought, yeah.
Just as a window.
Yeah, there's escape routes,
Yeah, there's escape, so,
each
okay,
bedroom,
okay.
so.
I don't think there's a way to be perfectly consistent unless you're going into every single house, otherwise the county would have us figure it out, they're not idiots, right?
They're graduates that do
Well,
this for
I
a
mean,
living.
they're not idiots, so they would have had it figured out by now. I think it's, you're driving by the houses, so I think that's what's difficult, is you're not going inside. You can't just
You have the
pick
option to.
a percentage. Yes, you do have that option.
That's kind of where the permits come in at, though, I
Right.
believe. You know, that's what gives you guys the control.
No?
That would assume that everybody gets a permit.
Well, yeah, that's true.
I can assure you that is not the case.
And it would also assume that everyone they hire is a craftsman.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm gonna say, that's gonna come back to bite them if they go to resell.
I don't disagree.
Is that square
Because it
footage,
doesn't
does
read-
that include land, or is that only for the structured portion?
Does it finish? If you're wondering for the, on that first sheet,
No, on the last, second to last sheet, the,
that's for the structure.
Yep, that's looking at finished square feet, price per finished
Hey.
square foot.
So we figure 7% is a fair increase, right?
That's what the house went up.
That's what,
So if I put his structure at the low end of the cost,
Yeah, go
that
on.
puts his structure value at 150,884, and he's currently at 129. I mean, it's quite a bit lower even than that. But that's the cost for new. I don't know about new, but that's the cost.
that's the sale price, cost
No.
per square foot.
No, that's the cost portion.
Yeah, but there's one where it shows like what the median range is for sales for cost per
Yes.
square foot, so that's good.
There are two formulas they use, the cost approach and the market approach. The cost is what it would take to build today,
Okay.
right? The market approach is what similar properties are selling for today.
Okay.
And
So
Those
we're
those two
comparing
ranges,
comparable properties of what they sold for recently, right?
yes.
Right. We can argue, but they're using for comparable is just square footage. They're not really.
Well, if you look at the county ones, like the one from Canton that was listed, what is it, 816 4th West? I mean, that sold for 132, or is this, yeah, 132.5. Now, I'm assuming that this guy that bought it in April of 2020 and then sold it in January of 23 probably made a bunch of updates to it. But what is the square footage? I mean, that would be a fair way to look at it. It seems like it's a similar aged home.
What was it sold for before we did the updates?
35,000. That sold for 132.5.
I paid $59,000 for it in 2010.
I mean, there's just no rhyme or reason. This is a unique property.
Right.
Like, I don't think we probably can find a true comparable. I guess I will make a motion to return it to the 2022 price of $142,644 total overall.
Wait, tell me what the structure and the land is.
You want structure first?
Yes, please.
120,929, land 21,715. I just don't think there's any comparable properties to that we've seen or that we can come to. So that's my recommendation. If it dies for lack of a second, I won't be offended.
Well, we know prices have went up since last year.
And there should be some.
I would argue that,
You don't have to have a comparable to know that.
good,
I mean, then we're opening up the scope of looking at previous year's increases and not.
I'm looking at this unique property. Like, you know, Foss had central air conditioning. I'm sure most people in here probably have central air conditioning, right down to 1910 block basement, I assume.
Yeah, we'll see another one.
Okay, I don't know.
Probably.
You will.
Just
I know
saying.
you will. You will. Read through them all.
I think we have to look at each property individually. We can't, and we gotta look at the comps, and unfortunately with Foss's house, there weren't good comps. For
Right.
example, my house has a similar square footage, it hasn't been sold since 2017, but why wouldn't mine be pulled? Some of those were like half of the square footage.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Right, so I think that's why some folks are motivated to come talk to us, because they
Right.
see something that's egregious.
That's the problem. That's where it's,
So, I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to change the assessment to 142,644 total. Any discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will recommend you return to last year's
Okay,
assessment.
thank you.
Thanks. All right,
board, this property, was assessed at $276,784, up from $240,241 last year. Appellant is requesting $0 for the assessed value.
So, I've got a question. It shows the last sale on this home of August 3rd, 2020, sale amount $264,900 to a Nick and Sailor Benson.
Correct.
From Nick and Sailor.
I'm sorry, from,
Right.
to Julia.
Yes.
That was in 2020. And the assessed value for tax purposes, they're moving, this is going to 276,784. So that's a nominal increase over a year and a half.
2.5
It is, over 2 years.
over 2 years. So,
One assessment period, excuse me.
So there's a comment made when they wrote in their appeal that the value's gone up over $100,000 from when they bought it. Now, I'm not seeing that in the purchase price.
no.
In the
Well,
assessed prices.
It's
Yes,
because right here in 2020, or they probably saw the 2019 for 2020 of 166, but they paid 266.
And that was 2 years before it was purchased.
Right.
What?
So unfortunately, I think
They're appropriate now.
Yeah,
Well, they paid 265,000 for the house 2 years ago,
right,
correct,
so they know the value.
correct.
right.
So I'm not seeing much need to.
I will make a motion to deny.
Perfect.
Second.
A motion second to deny the appeal. All in favor? Any opposed? Alright. We will stay with the county's assessment 276. Appeal 6XXJXX, Kobe Vanderpool.
Or the county has this property assessed at $806,575, up from $565,000 last year. If I recall correctly, that was an appeal amount last year. Appellant is requesting a value of $565,000, which is the same as last year's.
And they bought the property for $425 in December of 2020. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I don't know if that's a ton to add. I know they asked for a comp, and there is one really good comp that we could have had in Lennox. It's 204 Park Avenue. They have a bigger house than us. They're on 5 acres. We're on less than an acre. And they listed their house starting at $679, brought it down to $629, could not sell. So I said, I'd love to have a comp, but unfortunately the market just does not support that price point. So I don't have a great comp because they could not sell it at that price. I am proposing same rate as last, same value as last year, just because we know interest rates have doubled since I got that appraisal, and people have been priced out of this price point. So as you've seen, everywhere they're softening in the higher priced houses.
And I think last year, you guys sent it in, and you actually sent us the appraisal.
I sent an appraisal last year, yes, and now it's over a year old, but it did not increase 40% over the course of a year when interest rates have doubled in the same period.
So what was the appraisal amount?
$565.
I think it was a 565.
We had done some updates from the $425
Yeah.
purchase price, and then we got it appraised, so.
So we have an assessor's response in our packet where the assessor says no comparable properties in Lennox. That assessor added 15% market increase from time of fee appraisal. Value left to the discretion of the local board.
15% of 565.
And what they moved it to then was a total assessed value of $649,750, which is in conflict with their original recommendation of over $800K.
Right.
So they've already made a recommendation 150 plus thousand less than their original recommendation, and have basically put it on us to do some math and figure it out.
I think the challenge with a property like this, first of all, is very unique. You're probably not gonna ever sell it for $800,000.
I would sell it
Yeah.
for $800,000.
Not that it's not you know, a great property, but in Lennox, you're gonna have to have a very unique buyer, so,
And that just was proven with the Park Avenue. It's also a very unique house, larger than ours, 5 acres, and they just couldn't find a buyer at 629 even after it sat on the market for over 9 months.
In a way nicer neighborhood.
Way nicer neighborhood, you can walk to the pool, nicer neighbors.
But
well, there's a brand new home in the new development
Well, that's good.
right now. That's about, it's 800.
They just dropped it to
Brand new.
788 today, yeah.
A brand new property with a detached shop, right?
Yep.
And it doesn't have any backyard neighbors.
And they just dropped the price again today to 788, I think, because, yeah, the market just doesn't support those high price points.
I think we can all agree that 806 is obviously too
I would
much.
argue with the location of this property. Again, unique property. There's probably not another one in the world like it. Surrounded by a assisted living facility.
A guy smoking on my driveway almost daily. That increases the value at all.
Is it just assisted living or?
Yeah, he sits in my corner and smokes.
Hey, he's been in my garage.
So then it's, yeah, do we wanna stay with the 565 or do we wanna bump that?
I mean, I think maybe it's around 15%, what we've been seeing with, you know, we've been talking about 7%, 8%.
Right.
Is there a delta between the lower valued houses versus something on the upper end?
But I still don't,
Should that percentage change?
I don't see how this property, just like the last one, I don't see how the value of this property has increased.
41.32% is the
Right.
Like, I don't know, I like from 565, to me, that's a fair number for the house, considering where it's at, what's around it. I mean,
I
you're gonna,
can't find it, but what year was it built, the 90s, right?
So we compare this to Foss's house, which is in a similar range. I think we were at 567 on his.
right,
Which house would you buy for 565,000?
So his was built in 2007, and he's got 3/4 of an acre. Sorry, Ross.
and he doesn't live on the west side. No, I just, seriously, you know where this house is? You know that nursing home across the street from my house?
Mhm.
It's on the other side surrounded by it.
It used to be attached to it and they
Yeah.
detached it to sell it when you bought it.
Well, I think, but to your point though, is it's very close.
There's no
Like,
yard.
There's no yard because it used to be the
I
ground,
don't know.
like it used to be the, I think the keeper of the assisted living, right? Yeah, so I think it's like part of that property.
Well,
It was.
wasn't there a breezeway or something
There was.
torn down between them?
There was.
It
To actually
was,
sell the property?
there was a
Yes,
breezeway that
there's
was demolished and then replanted.
And yeah, buyers with cash flow buyers and the interest rates maybe on an entry level home, doubling interest rate won't affect the value as much, but I think when you're in the 600s and you double interest rates, you just price out a lot of people and over the course of the year, I would argue that values in that range, houses in that range have gone down in value in this area.
Second that motion.
Yeah, basically.
I don't know that I necessarily agree with it staying exactly the same because there's value in the fact that hers is still going to
Yeah.
go up. There's central air and it's still a beautiful home, right? And not that, well, they're not here anymore, but not that they don't have a beautiful home, but there's something to be said about those amenities that other property didn't have, right? So I don't have an exact calculation. I'm waiting for you to come up with
I
something.
took 7, or you got some math?
I took 8%, because it's,
I took 7, so we're in the same ballpark.
I would just use the one we use with Foss,
Yeah.
since it's a similar value.
That makes
That
sense.
makes sense.
I will, I mean, going back to the earlier discussions, that house that is almost identical is assessed in 400,000. It's on 5 acres. And it's updated, it's bigger than my house and in a nicer location. And I mean, yeah, I think it lists at 629. I'm guessing they got offers for 600,000. I would assume so. If they got offers. They probably didn't even get offers. I don't know, but I'm just guessing they would have sold it for that.
I think that house, if I'm thinking of the right house by the pool, right, I think there was some asbestos in the basement that they had to pull out and.
That was the guy before that flipped it. He bought it for like 3 something.
Right,
Yeah.
these guys put it at 679 because the market was hot and they thought they could, which was great. This is my
Interest rates
interpretation.
were in the 2%, yeah. I mean, they dropped to 6.29.
Right, right.
Like
I think
those
it
two
was
properties,
built-
I don't think there's anything that compare, even
No.
those
Right,
two
they're just
properties
so
don't
unique.
compare to each other at all.
They're similar sizes and they're both an up, like, that one's older probably, but it was updated as well, so.
That was built in the 50s.
50s.
It's got boiler, heat in the basement, and the basement hasn't been touched.
Yeah, the main level, I think, is the one that's updated.
Correct.
It's kind of the pool, maybe, right?
Yeah.
The basement is the living space.
The value there's the land.
Yeah, right.
The location.
Except for now, if their land
I don't
doubled.
think they value their land so much, because the house, they're paying way less in taxes, the house is like in the 400,000, and the land, maybe 100,000, they didn't.
Land 166, 653,
House.
house 445, 063.
That's current, that's 2023.
So they're at 6 something now.
And they bought it the exact same, they bought for $5,000 less than us in the same year.
Just a little over 6.
Yeah. I like your recommendation.
All right, I'll make a motion to, or a recommendation, what am I making?
What is that, can I, before you do this?
610, 200.
I was thinking.
I'm gonna beat Denise to the punch here and say she's gonna want building and land. Alright. Let me get back to that page. Sorry. You're good. We got nothing but time.
Got nowhere to be, though.
What could I possibly be?
Streetlights are on.
You're funny. Is that Riley?
Oh!
Street lights.
I didn't know he's a comedian.
You guys still 8% off each?
Yeah. Well, I'm good.
Which one you did? I'll do the other
I
one.
just did land.
Okay. $572, $946.
Yep. 572,946. So I'll make a motion to increase the property over 2022 value 8%, leaving the land value at 37,254, and the property value, or sorry, the structure value at 572,946, for a grand total of $610,200.
Second.
Alright, motion and a second, any more discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright, I'll recommend the 610, 200. Thank you. On F, appeal B22FYS, Diane Bigman.
Yeah, I call this one in.
Well, I have time to do that.
Yep. The lights are off. That's it. Place the call.
Nope.
Green button.
Wait, you come on, we can do it.
The number you have dialed is not in service. Please check the number and try.
605. You had one, or what did you do to get out?
I think I have to because it didn't take it.
No, no, I'm gonna go to teacher now.
It's Diane.
Hey Diane, Jennifer in the city.
Hi.
Hey, just wanted to let you know I've got everybody here ready to go ahead and start on your appeal, okay?
Okay.
1 or 2 minutes.
Oh wait, I'm mistaken, 1 or 2 minutes. Let me put you on hold, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks. I'll try to get to the bathroom. See, that's what I was waiting to call.
Oh, good. Yes. Lucky for you.
hasn't gotten any better since then.
Yes.
I think once you establish, like, this is what we can use as
Yeah.
a method going forward, and you just kind of go through that.
Yeah, but there should be a presence where you have a house like that.
Yeah.
Like, if they don't own an acreage, 800 grand all day, so where it's at with all the crazy people, like, I legit had to kick people out of my garage. They come over and yelled at my kids for crying. But, I don't care. The fact.
I'm saying, somebody got a,
You can kick people out of your garage.
800 grand all day long.
Yeah.
Nothing. Or is it fine?
Not once in 5 years, I know. How I know that to be true, you say it.
not very good closer.
No, I've been visiting this week.
Okay, we can probably undo that next time.
You still there, Diane?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're about ready.
All right,
Diane and Joel.
all right, thanks, Dan.
Yep.
So board, the county had this property valued at $424,618, up from $368,717. The appellant is requesting a value of $0.
You're talking what now? We're talking about the land. The land's worth 94,000, you said?
93,174.
Yeah, okay. That's where we have an issue.
With what?
How much is assessed for?
Oh.
Did you guys look at how the land is laid out?
Yeah.
When I called the camp and they said that they don't really come out and measure it, they just do the first 11,500 feet at a certain amount, and then the next so many feet at a certain amount, and then the last at a certain amount. I asked her what that was, and what the 11,500 was, and she said, I can't tell you, because I don't know. They just measure it.
Yeah, they do it by square
Right. You know,
footage.
they can't tell me how they measure it, but they measure it.
Well,
They
they have
can't
to
tell
plant
me
it,
where
so
the
they-
line starts and where the line stops, because
But
she
trying
doesn't know.
to find that area.
Hey, Diane,
Yeah,
this third line item that's your shop out back, it's assessed at $10,782.
yeah. That we looked at a couple other ones, and that's probably, you mean our Morton building?
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
the dimensions on that Morton building?
30 by 45.
Is it finished in there?
No,
It's not insulated or heated or has water in it, it's
No.
just cold storage?
no, just storage.
Okay.
And we've only got 3 bathrooms too, by the way. It's got a cabin floor.
There's not one out in the shop?
No,
Okay.
yeah, but the way the land's set up, the 95 or 6, whatever it was, that isn't even feasible for that. I don't know how you'd ever get a lot out of that.
Well, it's not about the land, it's about the value of your land.
Pardon?
It's not about the sellable use of it or any of that. it's how much land you own, is how that calculation works. So whatever the shape of it is, or any of that, is irrelevant.
What do you mean by that?
I think that means if your house is
not what they said in Kansas, but just go ahead and tell me that again.
my interpretation, if your house was gone and your shed was gone and it was just bare land, it would be worth $93,000 to sell it to somebody else.
No. You mean, I'm not sure, but they did they compared it to some land, but the land was bare land. Ours is bare land back there, but it goes into a kind of a weird shape. It goes into kind of like corner, like a triangle.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
So is that tax square foot 115,000 to 434? Is that the pretty good land?
Because
I'm looking in the parcel browser.
basically, Diane, you live on 2.65 acres in town. So you have a fairly, what I would assume would be a desirable lot for a lot of people.
No, because there's no lot there. You can't put a lot there.
Diane,
There.
the value of the land that your home sits on, I'm not talking about a second lot, a third lot, a 17th lot. The one that your house sits on is on 2.5 acres in town. Somebody would pay $92,000 for your lot to build a house on. I don't have a land, we don't have a leg to stand on to dispute that, right? Like, you can agree with that?
I do not agree with that, no. Because you couldn't put, what they compared it to was different lots, like, for example, the Papiga lot. The Papiga place that, Lennox Development Corporation bought for $225,000.
Yeah.
She compared it to that, she said that's.
It's just by, she's just comparing it by square footage, she's not comparing it by shape.
Why did the value of the pole shed go down?
Yeah, that's something that needs to be looked at, because based on what you told me about your pole shed, a 30 by 45 pole shed, the value of that, you're getting taxed like 10 grand on it. To put that up, it's about 80. So you should probably, that number should probably be $70,000 higher than the $10,000 that they're charging you for it.
And the county made a mistake.
And
It's
the county,
actually
for whatever reason, is depreciating it out instead of assessing it at a true value.
But then they're doing that to the house on Cleveland too.
I don't know anything about
That's
Cleveland.
every one of them. She sent me a bunch of different things.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, but
Yeah.
I do know how this works, and it shouldn't depreciate in value. It's not like an old garden shed out back. It is a full Morton building with insulate, it's an inside structure.
I don't understand what you're saying, I'm sorry.
I'm saying the county isn't taxing you enough for the value of your shed out back. They're only taxing you as if the value of your shed is $10,000, when the true value of your shed is probably closer to $70,000 to $100,000, depending on what is.
There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, that's a fact, Diane. Go and build that shed again. I gave you credit for $40 a square foot when it should probably be closer to 50 to 60.
Okay, I guess my question is, we wanna appeal it. If we can't go through you, we'll have to go through Canton, is that correct?
No, we're still appealing it. We're just talking about the appeal. Like,
Yeah, but it's not worth $80,000, I'm sorry, but.
to build a 35 by 40 Morton building? That's what it costs.
Okay, well, look, no,
Diane, I'm not gonna argue with you.
I'm not either. Let's just, no. Let's just move on from there. Then why would the other one be 10,000 and mine that's done and mine worth 80?
Well, what address is that one at?
So wait, Diane, can you clarify, you said it is done?
No, she's talking about a different property.
Yeah, they compared it, I think that got all sent to you from Canton. send the information from Ken to you guys.
So the comps that we have from the county are 905 South Main is an empty lot. 1012 North.
Did you see the one on Cleveland?
The comps we have from the county are 905 South Main Street, 1012 North Juniper Street, and an address without or a property without an address in North Elm. So this is the property north of Elm Stacks house on the corner of Elm and Boyd.
That's us.
No, this is across the street from you.
There isn't a Martin building yet.
I'm talking about the land.
Yeah, on the corner there, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's 40-some thousand, I think. 40,000?
Assessed value of $45,065 for 0.35 acres.
Okay.
You have significantly
They
more
got
than
a
that.
lot though. If you measure ours, you're not gonna get a lot out of it.
A lot is a lot, it doesn't matter the shape.
Your house sits on a lot, that's what it is. The land that your house sits on is what you're being assessed for.
No, that's not what she told me. She told me the first 11,500.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to amend this. I'm going to do the land value at $93,174. Structure one value of $320,662, and then structure two or NAD one, which I would assume is the Morton building.
Must be.
Okay, I would increase that to $65,000 from $10,000.
Okay, so we guys need to take this to camp.
$10,782.
Is that what you're saying? We need to take
65,000 on the third one.
So the total amount then?
Sorry, I think it's the same. We're not going to increase it.
We're here to get it right. Like, we're here to get it right. We gotta get it right. We know that it's not correct, so we have to get it right.
Whatever we decide, if you still feel it's incorrect, you can go appeal to Ken.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna need to do then. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
$478,836.
Okay, so we did land at 93,174, correct?
Correct.
Structure one, 326.62.
Correct.
Structure two, 65.
Correct.
Thank you.
Alright, we have a motion. Any second?
I will not be offended if it dies for lack of a second. But if we're truly trying to get it right, that's right.
Any second? Alright, I'm gonna declare motion dies for lack of a second. Do we have another motion?
Motion will leave it as is, with no motion.
Second.
The motion is second to leave the assessment, at what the county has. Any discussion there?
I just have a question. Before in this meeting, when we were doing other things, we talked about getting everyone up to the same level and equal playing ground.
We don't have comps on Morton building. I believe you, Chad, but we're not insurance assessors. Like we
I'm not
can't.
either. I'm just saying, you know you can't build that shed for 10 grand.
No, I know that, but I don't have comps for that.
Okay, it's fine.
So
I'm just saying, if we're trying to set it and get it right,
Right.
we know.
I think we're
that
trying to
that's
make
also-
it fair for the people that are coming to us to appeal. We're not going and trying to fix everyone out there that's.
Well, she came to us for an appeal, and now we have the opportunity to get it right, and we're choosing not to. Truthfully.
Could we make that recommendation on our sheet to the county?
Not unless you make a motion.
They need to stop depreciating
Make a
animal
motion.
ordinance because they appreciate.
We had a motion and a second to leave it at the 424,618.
Well, then I think, I'm sorry, Stacey, then I think if we're gonna do that, then I think we fix the error of depreciation, not change it to what we just ballpark the assessed value is.
We're not ballparking anything, we're just taking their recommendations that they
That's
did.
what this
No,
motion is.
but there was a depreciation value.
Yeah, it's gone backwards every year, the depreciating out that shed.
So if we're gonna fix an error, we
Well, we call that to the county's attention on all the Morton buildings that they're depreciating out across the county.
but is that happening or is that just?
I don't know, this is the
How
only
do
one
we
I've seen.
know, I mean, maybe there's gotta be a rhyme or reason for that.
I'm guessing they think it's a garden shed and not a Morton building.
Well, they would have made they did a test property, so I think they're aware. I don't know what the rationale is, but my guess is that there's some sort of rationale
So that
for
would be
depreciating out this thing.
property north of town that has a outbuilding, that should start appreciating. That, in the new development on the north side of town.
Oh, that's just the garage.
No, that's plumbing.
But it's the same
That's
thing.
the same thing.
Yeah,
It
I
should
see it,
appreciate.
yeah, so that's gonna start dropping, is it? Yeah.
Theoretically, according to the rules.
Well, how this is set up, yes.
That's why I'm thinking, but I don't know.
I agree that it needs to be fixed, I just don't have the same knowledge you do from your job, nor do I think anybody else at this table is in the business of that, maybe everybody else is, to be able to say, yep, it's $85,000 for that Morton building. How can we say that? What do you have in front of you that says that?
I have a calculator.
You have what's in your brain that we can't prove to anybody.
I agree, the motion's
Like,
up, call the question.
All right,
We're still discussing.
well, all the questions now.
I think we can fix an error of depreciation, which is clear in writing, that I can get behind. And we can call to the county's attention.
I
But
mean, maybe there is something to that.
But it's
My
not
guess
right.
is there is a rationale for that decision. We don't know what it is.
Right, I mean, that's not our decision.
But if we're doing that, I mean, honestly, somebody needs to ask the county about that,
Yeah,
because if they're depreciating out, like, on the tax rolls, every single Morton building in Lincoln County, or any shed like this, do you know how many of them are out there? And you know what the value of those are?
So what is the best way to bring this to their attention?
do we have comps and Lennox of Morton buildings? Like, could
Well,
we?
you just
The
don't
only,
have-
the only thing I can think of was Weaver's, and that's at a little over 14.
Which again,
Essentially, that's what Chad did with his motion.
Are there others? Yeah, 14,163 is the Weaver's building.
what about the Jacobson
You look-
building? That would be of similar size, the one that used to be, I'm guessing that one's assessed a little higher because it used to be a commercial property.
Is the city shop going down in value?
Vasix is assessed at 12,825. The city shop doesn't have a value.
Did Weaver's go down?
It doesn't tell us. We don't have that report. I just got the current.
No, I suppose you'd have to dig for the 2020.
Yeah, I'm going off of GIS for this year. Yeah,
Does Darren shop go down in value?
I got it.
No, because it's a commercial building. I mean, this is, again, a situation that they probably just plug it in because that's how we've done it since 1936, and things have changed.
I just don't wanna pick a number, like, that's what I can't get behind.
Well, I called the question
All right,
for.
all in
leaving it.
favor of leaving it?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I'm gonna go
Do a roll call.
roll call.
Can we clarify what we're voting on, please?
We're,
Leave it
okay,
the same.
leaving it the same at the 424,618. So,
And we're not doing anything with the depreciated value.
we're leaving it exactly what the county has it.
Okay.
So, Doherty,
Aye.
Riley,
Aye, or, excuse me, nay.
Mauer,
Nay.
Bowers,
Nay.
Swear,
Aye.
Sandal,
Nay.
and Welch.
Nay.
Nays win. All right,
Make a motion.
so we need an motion.
So I would like it, I don't
Can we
know,
just-
all the
We're
numbers.
not setting the depreciation rules for Lincoln County here. We're trying to just work on this person's.
Yeah, we're trying to get their assessed value fair, just like everyone else's. We know that that shed out there is worth far more than $10,000.
Why
That is part of
are
the
we not
assess.
setting the depreciation rules? We're setting the
That's,
rules both ways.
that's a
We
lady
don't
formula.
have
set
that
the
formula,
formula.
I think is what you're.
Yeah. We're making assumptions on how they're valuing a shed.
So are you saying we're only making decisions based on people who walk in here and say it's too high? That's what we're only in the business of?
Yes.
I think so. I don't think
I disagree.
I don't think
If
we
we
wanna
see it
go and
here-
try to hurt our town's taxpayers.
But we're not hurting our
Look,
taxpayers,
I'm
we're
not
making
trying
it
to
fair
hurt
for everyone
Diane.
else. Like,
I'm
this
trying
is
to
what-
protect everybody else. Like, why do Weavers
We'd be setting a
have to-
precedent of, I don't wanna appeal because they could make mine go up. Why would we
Well,
wanna?
but that's a risk that you take by walking in and doing an appeal, but why do Weavers have to pay higher for their Morton building?
It's the same thing that Foss was arguing, like, why is my house?
No,
more
I'm not
than-
even worried about anyone else's Morton building. What I'm doing is looking at this one situation right here and telling you a 35 by 40 square foot Morton building with 14 to 16 foot sidewalls is worth more than $10,000.
I completely agree with that.
So are they setting like the outside building at market value? Because everything is.
Everything's at market value.
And that-
The land, the house, except the shed.
Yep.
And I would argue that by making this decision, we would be protecting every other citizen of Lennox. Because now everyone is being assessed at the true value of their property, which is what we're doing.
I see it as catching an error. In my opinion, it's an error, but.
Alright, we get a new motion, anybody?
How many of these similar buildings we have in town, would you say?
I can only think of two.
But we have none that are attached with a house on it like this one is. Like, I think that's
Correct.
I think that's what's goofy.
We have standalones.
We have standalones. And again, if an owner of a standalone Morton building came in here and it was assessed at $25,000, if they would have came in with this building and said, I went from $15,000 to $25,000 last year, that's not fair, my building's not worth that. What would your answer be for that? Like, you know it's worth that, just like we know this building's worth that. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, I'm just trying to be fair to everybody.
Don't France have an outbuilding?
Who?
Was it Christie France?
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Thank you.
Is that considered an out? I would say.
It's not quite, it's not a Morton building,
It's
but
not
it's still an
commercial.
outbuilding, yeah, it's still worth.
Well, even a shop, like I did.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
shed
still a
on
shop
the
though,
lake,
yeah.
120,
I get
40 by 60 by 10.
40 by 60, so that's,
It's 120.
is it insulated and all that?
What was it? It's about the exact same. Just yours is a little smaller.
But if you think of the value, like that new home we
Yours
were
is
talking about
bigger.
earlier.
This is bigger. 40 by 60
Yeah,
or
this
30
is
by
about-
45.
Oh, 30 by 45.
And you were what, 120?
120.
Maybe one better. So far as we see on the Kranz property, there is no value placed on that outbuilding.
Right, that's what I see too.
That's what,
So my recommendation, folks, we can't, I don't think we can make assumptions about how the county does this formula. I don't disagree that if you're going to do this property, if you're going to do this building again, it's definitely going to cost more than $10,000. A simple garden shed today is going to cost you $7,000. But we don't know the rationale they use for these outbuildings, and it's clearly not consistent. We can find out what that is. We can, separately issue a recommendation to the county that they take a look at this for future assessments. But I don't know that we can make any assumptions about how they're making this, how they're assessing this value on this outbuilding. It seems odd to me that it would appreciate, because to me this appreciates every year.
based on what you know, shouldn't it be assessed at the true value?
It should.
No, you want his land, I think, and that's built.
I'll make a motion that we deny their appeal and they take the game.
Well, then, that was a.
That's the
already
again?
killed my motion to do that.
My question is, why do,
Look, you must have known, then everyone knows.
why are we outside of bounds to set the true value of this building?
I'm not saying you're outside of bounds. I'm saying we don't know what the rationale.
So why would we not set the value of this building? She's gonna deny it, or appeal it, down to Canton, and then make them actually make the decision, and then we can point out to them that, hey, oh, by the way, there's a bunch of these buildings that aren't right.
I think the thing with the comps is the comps don't have the building is the unique piece. So they're even gonna look at that.
I think our property also went up like 15 point some percent versus some of the others we saw it going up in the 12% range. If you look at the total.
But hers barely went up, I don't know the percentage. From 21 to 22, most people saw a significant jump.
Here's what 48,000.
Yeah, but the percentage didn't go up as much as.
So hers went up 15.2% this year, previous year.
I'll second Sam's motion.
What's his
So
motion?
the motion saying to deny the appeal, so it's exactly what we did not. Okay. The motion is second to have no change to the assessed value. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds like it passes this time.
It's a good discussion though.
Yes.
It really is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we're trying to,
I don't know if
however, we
there's
need to point that out to the county if we can do that.
But I just think that, I mean, in Lennox alone, we're missing out on hundreds of thousands of dollars in value.
I don't disagree.
Three
I think
buildings.
by doing this, we can
I'm very curious how they're.
Yep.
get answers. Right.
Because there's properties without,
Well,
with outbuildings with no value.
I mean, are either you two able to call and try to get an answer for us?
Yeah, we can talk to Carl and one of us can figure out the story.
We'd be
Alright.
interested to know. Still got like 8 more guys.
We got lots to go here. Appeal S4HSXF, Gary and Jane Davis. Thank you for hanging out with us so far.
Board, this,
Yeah, we should have brought popcorn.
For the show.
the county has this property at $303,808, up from $253,450. Appellants are requesting a value of $274,881.
Looks like your land value doubled.
What's that?
Your land value doubled
Tripled in 3 years.
from last year to this,
Yeah, it's more than
22,000 to.
Really doubled from what we got paid for the.
So you're over by Hilda's as well.
Yes, and
You're on the
we,
other side.
yeah, and when we look at our.
You know, that's my house. You know.
Yeah, we're close.
You're not gonna be here across from you.
Well, yeah, we've gone plenty of times going, that guy can't be out there peeing in those rocks because of your kids across the street. We're like, we can't see that, that's terrible.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I would guess my kids probably just go.
They probably just go pee in the rocks.
The house at 1000 West 2nd Street recently sold, which is the lot size is equal to ours. They've got the buildings the same as ours. They have the
Very similar.
additional garage unattached like ours. And it recently sold for around $275. Well, it was listed for $275. I don't know what they ended up getting it for, but
What was the property out there?
1,000 West.
1,000 West Second.
second.
It's kitty corner from Hilda's,
Very
so
nice.
we
Very
were
nice.
like, well, it's in the same vicinity, it's the same, because when I went out and looked, I was like, I'm having a hard time finding something in our area, and because, again, I feel like we're kind of in a unique situation with, we're on the same property as. monstrosity.
The assisted living.
Assisted living.
Looks like that was sold for $270. What this is saying.
I wasn't sure what it was.
And the assessor actually speaks to that in their recommendation. There's an assessor comment field.
Oh,
Where's
yeah.
that at?
It'd be right above the image of Lennox where the property is highlighted, page 17. The assessor goes on to say, assessor recommends no change. Assessment falls within cost and market value. Appellant's comparable was a sale after 11/1/2022. The 2023 assessments are based on sales from November 1, 2021 to October 31st, 2022.
So 1 day.
No, it just happened after November.
Right. Oh, I got you.
Right. Is what they're saying, which, take it or leave it, that's what they say.
Just adding in a little bit more information, that comparable property at 1,000 West Side is slightly smaller as well. About 400 square feet smaller.
Than us? What are you showing? We're at.
County has you at 1237 finished on the main. And 700 on the basement, but I don't think that 700 taken from the.
That's not correct.
We're about 530 in the basement finished.
Yeah, and that's not taking into account, I don't think, on the.
And Myers was 1,700. Right around 1,700 square feet. It's pretty comparable. I mean, it's seriously, when you look at all they have and all what we had, it's
But that's
very close.
price-wise, us compared to them. On top of the fact that we live next to this facility where
It's gonna affect the value of the home.
is more in the last few years, more like Yankton State Hospital, residents that they get in there, they just wanna fill beds, they don't care who comes in. I mean, you wouldn't believe what you hear out of back, it's yipping and hollering and it's more than just my kids too.
Oh, yeah.
Your kids are fine.
There's stuff, oh my gosh, the stuff that goes on, you're just like,
And we've called the police a couple times.
quite a few.
So I did the same math as we did before with the house went up 7.2%. We take the land value at the same amount, that makes the land 24,407, total of 284,211.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to, take the county's recommendation on the structure. What's
259,804.
259,804 and change the value of the land to 24,407 for a total of 284,211.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second, any discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll make our recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, guys.
Yes. Appeal GHKR 5R County Operations.
Clayton got them.
I don't know, he genuinely seemed shocked when I called him. Yeah.
It's a good actor.
Yeah.
Did you try Spencer?
Cindy? Paige, Jennifer, City of Lennox.
Oh, my
He's
goodness.
next to you.
Hey, just wanna let you know you're on speaker and I've got everybody here,
Okay,
so we'll go ahead and start the process for the appeal, okay?
good.
Okay, so the first one we have,
Do I speak first or do you?
I'll just introduce it quick, Cindy, and then go ahead and explain your appeal.
Okay,
So this first one is a lot of land on the north side of town. The county has the value this year at $167,521, up from $113,946 last year. The appellant is requesting a value of $0.
I'll buy it.
no, I never, I don't know where you got that assessed at zero value.
It's on your appeal form.
Oh, to raise it, not to raise it any further is, I think, what that was supposed to be. But anyway, let's go forward to that. So I sold a lifetime piece that is, it was I believe it's 4.1 acres. Last year, was it October, honey? To the Area Development Corporation, and we got we actually grouped everything together. The 9 lots we sold for $17,500, and they were 8 of them were 100 by 100, and one was, I believe, it was 125 by 100. And each one of them was exactly the same, 17,500.
For each
And
lot,
then
you sold them individually?
Yes,
So they were already,
Well,
they were already plotted as individual properties?
that's correct. But, and then there was the centerpiece, they wanted 2. And that was let me see, 205,011 feet. And that one would have been, let me get the calculator out here. So that one would have been, let's see, so we've got 17,500 times 9, 157, and we'll subtract that. 157. And we're going to subtract that 2 1/4. So 16,000 is what we got for the 4th acre. So, and of course, this one that we're talking about is assessed higher than that. So my reasoning was, I'm already getting assessed for more than what we just sold ours for less than 6 months ago. It should be, do you guys, when you're looking at your paperwork, do you get exactly what was written?
Yes, we got exactly what you submitted on the appeal form.
Okay, perfect. So you do see what I'm talking about.
So just to add a few notes here, the property Cindy's talking about that they sold, that's the land along 4th and Cleveland.
Yes.
Some of those are individually platted, some of them are, there's a large open area in the middle that was also sold with that. The properties along 4th would have access to, or properties along 4th would have access to water and sewer, the rest of it does not. If you look at the county's comps provided, we saw this on the West Boynton property too, that Ms. Begman appealed. They have comp number 1 is 905 South Main Street. I don't know that I'd necessarily include that as a comp for one of these, but it's there. Then you have a new residential lot up in Countryside Edition, that's comp number 2. And comp number 3 is actually just a couple hundred feet away from this property.
But those are all level lots. Did you drive by that one by chance? I put on there, if you drive by, you'll see it's real low.
I think that's the other lot, Cindy, that's the next appeal.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, yeah. Right, so that one does not have sewer and water to it, the 4.5 acres that we're talking about.
But it does have it available on Elm.
Well, what we were told, and when we plotted it, is the sewer line is too high, and if we did put anything in, it would be one piece of property, and it can only be a certain, one house, and it could only be so far from the road, which would have been pretty darn close to the road. So we just left that and put it in alfalfa, and we thought at one point we would maybe use it to put, our son was going to become a contractor, and that could be something that he could maybe put his equipment on. But he has since decided that they wanted to move to the Black Hills, so of course we don't. I mean, if anybody wants to buy for that, what we have assessed that, I mean, hey, now we're pretty much open to it. Like last year we weren't, because we were still saving it for him. And
Well, I'm glad we avoided that zoning issue.
What's that?
I said, I'm glad we avoided that zoning issue that would have inevitably risen up from having equipment stored all that.
Right, zone A.
Yes.
So is this the part of the property that's currently listed for sale in that corner?
No, that's the fellow that owns the one that's for sale over there. He owns the laundromat and the storage unit. That's his.
Where is that property?
That's just north of, that's at the corner of Boynton and Elm.
He's had that listed for, oh gosh, I'll bet 8 months. When we were back home, that was listed. And
Is the legal description of this Lot 3, Block 2 of Kelly's addition?
no. This legal description that we're talking about, let me try to find it. No, it's not the lot, it's the one over there that's Circle Drive.
Lands in Lennox, 4.5 acres.
Yeah, I can't find it. Oh, that's because, remember when they had this one, we had to call them because they didn't have a legal line? Yeah, this one here is behind Circle Drive. It's parcel number 250.63.02.001. No, that's not it,
We've got it here, Cindy.
Okay, good. Because I didn't, they didn't send me, I got page 2 of 2, I didn't get page 1 of 2, which would have gave me the legal and the description of it. It doesn't have an address, it's just a piece of A ground. If you use the old railroad property is what it was. I think it's directly across from your piece the city has.
It is.
Yeah.
I will make a recommendation of no change to the county's valuation.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, for no change or to deny the appeal. Any discussion there?
Does that mean that it won't go up?
No,
That means you can take it to the county and
we're leaving it with the
We're
county.
leaving it with what the county's put us on, sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, we're gonna leave it with the I'm sorry, where are you? 167,521 that the county suggested. And if you are dissatisfied with that, then you can appeal to the county. So we have a motion and hold on a second, Cindy. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, go ahead, Cindy.
How long do I have to do that, and what is my next step? Would that be online?
So we'll have a letter coming to you within the next 7 days that explains the appeal rights, and how to, appeal.
So we'll probably get it in 14 days.
Well, I plan to write it tomorrow, which means it should be in Thursday's mail.
Okay, yeah, but we're in Arizona, so, and the mail, it takes quite a while.
Okay, the next one is appeal KN3JP3, also Kelly Enterprises.
Board, this property is along 4th Avenue, right across from West Evergreen Park. 2023, the county has this at $35,000. In 2022 and in 2021, it's valued at $17,500. Appellant on the form also requested $0, but again, I think that's, they requested zero change, so.
Yes, that's correct, 0 change. And that's the one, if you drove by, you would see it was real low. and they bought the development court bought all except for that one piece.
Cindy, some of these were listed last year. Do you remember what they were listed for?
Yeah, 17,500, and that would be sold for.
No, I mean before the LABC bought them.
I think it was 35 or 40, wasn't it?
It wasn't 40, no way, because we sold one for 22. The one right to the, would be the west of it, and that was 100 by 150, and that one sold for, I want to say 22,500. It might be, you might be able to find it online. That's the one that's on the corner, on 4th and just directly across from the park.
Yeah, so that one's got a value of $36,085. It's a slightly larger property, but.
Yeah, it's 190 by 100, that one is. The one we're talking about is 100 by 100, and it's real low.
So the property, the appealed property is 10,000 square feet. The property we're just talking about is 10,310 square feet.
No, that would be, what, 100 by 190, would that be, that would be,
remember, Cindy, that property angles off after 100 feet, so it's not a full 190 feet.
no, look at your plot there. Don't think it angles off. I'm
No,
pretty
this
sure
one
you
doesn't
cleared
angle
it.
off. No,
I'm pretty
the
sure
one
you
that we're
cleared
comparing
it.
it to.
That one's 36.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about right there.
The one that sold
The appeal one.
is the one to the west of the house in the field,
Correct.
and the one that we're not thinking that it's gonna, we don't want it to go up any, would be the one to the east of
Correct.
the house.
Yeah, so I'm saying the one to the east of the house is the one you're appealing
Correct.
for 17.5.
Yep.
The
And the
one
one we
to the
sold
west of
was
the
the
house,
one,
which sold, is
Right.
valued at 36.85.
it might have been valued at that, but that's not what we sold it for. We sold it for 22,000.
It's assessed at 36.
How long ago did that sell?
2 or 3 years ago.
Properties have gone up a lot since then.
It's squared. It's not angled. Because we wouldn't angle, but that would have just been proper.
All right, what do you think?
I'll make a motion to leave it as is.
Motion and second to leave it as the county assessed at 35,000. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right, again, with this one, Cindy, if you are dissatisfied with that, you can appeal it to the county.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Hey, hold on.
Yep.
Hold on. Can we have them go?
We really can't with this next one should be brief. We've got the approved agenda and we've got to go in that order.
Okay, I tried.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so.
All right, next is appeal 856 SE4 Wilfred and Carol Hoppy.
I was thinking the same thing.
So is Brittany, so is Jen, so sorry. They are done in the order in which they were received, so.
Me too.
Hey, Nate. I'm gonna ask you a question about the people that are here.
Hi, is this Carol?
Yes.
Hey, Carol. Jennifer at the City of Lennox. I got you on speaker and I want to let you know that everybody's here for the appeal process, so we'll get going here in just a second, okay?
Just a minute. Run that by me again, then I'll be on speaker, then what?
You're on speaker, and then everybody's here to go ahead and start the appeal process, so give us just a couple of seconds, okay?
Oh, okay.
this over, it appears to be another unique situation like we discussed earlier tonight with the property. As you look through the property and comments from the assessor, it appears that, very similar in age, very similar in amenities. So I think there's, room here for us to consider that.
Ma'am,
Yes,
on your form, we've had some confusion. We need to do a better job of explaining that, but it says that you think your property and stuff should be valued at zero. Is there a dollar amount that you feel it should be at? Above zero?
yeah.
What do you think?
I'm supposed to figure out what it's worth.
No, I'm just asking you, what,
I'm guessing you meant zero change.
zero change from 2022?
Zero change from 20, whenever it went up, when the assessment went up, it went up 119%. And then I appealed that and got it down to 99% raise, and it's still, our house has, I don't know if anybody has even looked at it.
Well,
it has no basement.
We have all the notes
Yep.
from your application and stuff in front of us, but go ahead and keep explaining.
Okay, well, for one thing, it has no basement, it's got an outside entryway, the basement is just a cellar, and there's no heat ducts in the house, we don't have a furnace, right now we're using just a little, fireplace, electric fireplace. The kitchen foundation is sinking on one side, and, let's see, it has the old-fashioned steps going upstairs, 8-inch wide ones, that they had 100 years ago. There's no heat in the kitchen or bathroom or the bedroom. That all has to come from the little heater in the living room. So I don't need any more higher assessment on this, for sure.
Well, thank you for that. I completely agree with you. I'm going to make a motion to move the value of land to $20,000 from $51,779.
Okay.
This isn't approved. I'm just making a motion, just so you know. And then the structure itself to be at roughly 40,000 based on the description you've given us, for a grand total of 60,000 for the assessed value of the property.
That sounds better, yes. Okay, that'd be great if we get that down, because we're on a limited income, so.
Yes, ma'am. I gotta convince these other people of my thoughts. So
Okay.
give me a second here, okay?
Okay.
Based on just what she explained about the condition of the home and what they have to do without the heat ducts in it, and the things they have to do to heat their home, I just don't understand, like, what she's telling us. I don't see how we could make it more than that, because to me, at the end of the day, it sounds kind of like that structure that's up on North Boynton. The only difference would be she's got insulation and a bedroom instead of just an open shed. So to me, this seems like a fair number for this property.
Dirt basement.
Dirt basement.
Space heaters.
Space heaters to heat it.
How did you get the 20,000 land down from 28? That's been the last 2 years.
I actually think the land is at 90.
The land's at 51,779.
Oh, that's the land?
I think that's the home.
Oh, that's the home. The
Yeah.
land's at 90,000.
I think so. It's a large lot.
Yeah.
Yep. NAD 10, that's gotta be land.
That is a pretty big lot.
I bet you're right.
Harrison and, okay, so, is it a land? What?
the second number's the land?
It's a half acre.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna withdraw my motion.
Or if we go back to, I was thinking 113 even is very high, even 97 for this house is.
Well, that land is worth money.
Well, the land's worth money, but then if you're gonna put it on the market, no one's gonna buy it.
Well, they're gonna buy the land and put the house down and build a.
That costs
How
some
much
money
does
to do
it
that
cost
too.
to tear the house down?
10,000.
More than that.
And to haul it away, it's more than 10 grand.
Well, you gotta tear everything out.
This is also, the land as is developed into probably 2 lots without any buildings.
Alright, what's your new motions, Jen?
Just $2
Right.
please.
My new motion would be 25,000 for the land and 40,000 for the structure. For a total of 60.
That land's worth way more than that. That's a big lot.
It's a half acre, is that what it is?
It's a half acre. The one we said at 92 was 2.65 acres.
Nobody's coming in and just buying this lot though. I think this, we gotta think of just this property.
I'll second Chad's motion.
Alright, we have a motion and a second for a total of $65,000.
Correct.
Discussion there.
I think we gotta get a little bit more math behind the lot value. And look at that a little closer. I agree with you. What do you have on the structure?
40.
I think that might be high, actually.
I thought you said 20 and 40.
Yeah,
I had them inverted.
So 25 on the land now and 40 on the.
I didn't realize how big, I thought the land was the top number, so.
Let's
So
put
her house
the
went up-
structure back to
her-
28,241 and then figure
Well,
out the land.
I say we put the structure at an appropriate percentage. We can discuss what that appropriate percentage is. But
Appropriate percentage of what?
compared to every other property that's gone up in the last year.
Well, I don't think it's a percentage.
Somewhere
It
in that.
wasn't 28,241. Why don't we just leave it there?
Well, why don't we leave everybody's house where it was last
We
year?
did leave some.
I'll take that. I'll take my 13% back.
But you don't have a dirt basement and you're not using space heaters to heat your home in the winter time when it's 20 below. Like, people are gonna buy your house if you put it on the market today.
Sure. Okay, I can buy that.
Alright, we have a motion and a second, so I'm gonna,
I want a little more discussion on the lot, because I think it's worth more than 40.
What's your numbers again?
I think you've got the land at
20, or I got the house at 25 and the land at 40.
I think your motion is opposite of that.
Yeah, I was,
So with the motion and second are not
Reverse,
reflective
yes.
of what that kind of.
the house is $25,000 is, I'm gonna
That's not
rescind
the
my
motion.
motion. My motion is to put the structure at 25,000 and the land at 40.
Yeah, that makes sense.
alright, we have a motion, house at 25, land at 40.
Can't they just put house and structure?
Motion and a second on that, any discussion there?
I'd just like to know how you got the 40. That's all. I just want to understand that.
I think that's
I
fair based off of the other land we talked about.
Well,
actually.
because the other land we just said at that was at 92,000 was 2.65 acres. This is a half acre. 40,000 to me,
So 90 divided by 2.5 is less than 40.
less than 40.
We just gave Cindy 35 for much smaller.
2.3.
No, the
the
one
one-
10,000.
the one right by Evergreen Park was 100.
Well, just down the street from this property, yeah, right now,
The
we're,
one that's ready to be sold and have a home built upon it, whereas this one you're gonna have to
Spend 10 grand.
tear a house out,
Or 20.
regrade it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to compare. I want to.
Well, I think it's pretty close. 2.3 acres.
Can I have a question for Carol? Carol, this is Nate. Have you ever applied for a freeze on your taxes here?
We did, but, it says you have to be home 200 days a year, and we don't quite make that when we go south for the winter. Because it's still cold at 200 days. So, less than 200 days. And so we had our taxes froze for quite a few years. because we were always home in our house up there 200 days. But now we stay a little longer down in Arizona.
I certainly can't blame you for that this year.
All right.
We just did one, the 0.23 acres for 35,000, right?
Yeah.
That's no appeal. And this one's double the size of the lot.
Yeah.
So that makes
That's my point.
60 for the lot here as opposed to 40.
The only argument I can kind of understand is
Then you gotta.
the empty lot's ready to build, the other one would have some demo.
You gotta scrape the structure.
Think about it.
So double the size, if it was shovel ready, we'd think this is worth 70 grand.
Yep.
And,
75, 80.
Half an acre?
right,
That seems
Reasonable.
reasonable.
very reasonable,
Yeah.
but it's not shovel ready.
Right.
So if we put a price tag on making it shovel ready,
Then we're in the ballpark.
right,
All right, so we have a motion and a second for the house at 25, the land at 40, with a total of 65.
second.
Sam.
Second was.
So all in favor? Oh,
What of the 55?
65 total for house and land combined.
Okay, 65 total.
We gotta vote on it yet to see if it's gonna.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, is 150 by 150 half an acre?
No.
That's what it is. It's 150 feet by 150 feet.
Ma'am, we just voted to, put your whole property at 65,000.
Okay.
So that's your structure and your land, so the whole property would be 65,000.
Okay. What is it now? What was it this year?
142.
113 last year, and I went to 142.
It'll be about half of what it was last year.
Okay, that would be great, because they estimated it at 119% raise a couple years ago, and then I appealed that and got it down to 99% raise.
Yep.
So,
All right, we're gonna get you out there. So I had all in favor, any opposed? Okay. I already did all in favor. I was seeing if there's any opposed. So, okay. Okay. All right. On to item, okay, Peter Vanderover.
So the county has this property at $104,599, up from $65,427. Requested value is $45,000.
What I don't understand about this, I bought this property just over 20 years ago. And it was 400 by 3 by 400 feet. Well, the city took 66 feet away from me. And it was $230 for the whole piece of property. Today they want $1,000 for 66 feet. It don't quite make sense to me.
So just to clarify, the assessed value is not just for the 66-foot easement, it's for the entire property.
I remember they could, in courthouse, they told me it was $1,000 for the street.
So again, there is no street there. There's a dedicated easement, but it's a part of the larger property.
Yeah, but you won't let me do nothing with it.
Correct. You couldn't build on the right of way. The portion of the lot that's buildable is to the west of the right of way.
Right.
How large is that portion that's buildable?
0.7 acres, I believe.
So plenty for a structure, a yard.
So how can you get
Big
just?
It ain't 7 acres.
It looks to me.
0.7. So it's half of what you own. There's 1.446 acres in your lot. So just under an acre and a half is what your land consists of. But sounds like there's a right of way through it. So you've got half of that is buildable.
Usable.
Yeah, usable.
Yeah, well, I got There's 2 lots left, probably 2 lots left there.
Okay,
Yeah, I guess you could divide that.
yeah, for sure, possibly, right, yeah. You might run into some side yard issues, but it's possibly 2 lots there, yeah.
Because, I had somebody look at it, and he said, well, I can't build a road through there because you got a house sitting on the other end.
Yeah.
So probably one
Yeah.
structure in there on 0.7 acres if we're doing that.
Well, the last one I did was a half acre at
You could
40,
call it
so
a
this
square
would be 60.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to change this to 60,000.
Second.
But the other, hang on, just 1 second.
What's the discussion? Go ahead.
Okay, the other one, we're accounting for clearing of the lot, right? This one, lot is cleared.
But only half of it's usable.
But size-wise, it's still larger, that's why we.
But you're still gonna have to get the rigmarole around,
You're gonna have to fill the street or
Water and sewer have to get there. There is a street, that's a gravel street, but we don't own or manage it, so there'd have to be some sort of maintenance agreement, for example.
and there's an easement, isn't there an easement right through the middle, somewhere in it?
That's the end of the, that's half dedicated, it can't be used.
So you're asking for 60?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a motion and a second for 60. Any further discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll recommend your assessment changing to $60,000 from the $104,000 that they sent you.
Well, that'll help some.
Yeah.
It's still down from last year's, a little bit too.
And down from 2020.
Yep.
What?
It's lower than your 2020 value.
Well, yeah, that could be, but, that 66 feet don't do me any good if.
So we took that out of our math.
We took that out of our math.
Right,
Oh.
and keep in mind, that 66 feet is what makes that buildable lot. Without that 66 feet in there,
You wouldn't have
You
any.
could-
Well, if I had that 66 feet, I'd have another lot.
You would build
No,
into
you
the.
wouldn't be able to get to
to
it. It'd be landlocked if you didn't have that.
Right, but if I wanted to have to give up that 66 feet when I was building the house, I would have had three 100-foot lots, 400-foot lots. 4 by 100 by 400.
our standards are simple, you can't have a lot that doesn't have a guarantee.
Street access.
Right, and that's not.
Well, if I wouldn't have had to give up the 66 feet,
Yeah, then you would have one lot. Or else you'd have to put in a street and sewer.
no, I would use 4th Street.
You could have like a private street or whatever.
Right.
No, 100,
Right, but it still has to be platted as.
100
It doesn't
by
matter.
300 feet this way against 4, and 400 back.
Okay?
I walked it different times. All right, I could put three 100-foot lots in there. And they all would have been through 4th Street.
So that's why we assessed, or we reevaluated this and made a recommendation to only base the value on the usable portion, so.
Okay, well,
You can always, after this one, if this one doesn't make you happy, you can always appeal it again to the county, go down to the county and do it. For the 60,
well,
we'll put it in.
it's at least gonna help because $1,000 that, when they got a hole of $230 20 years ago for it, 21 years ago,
It's a good
now we got
investment.
$1,000 for 66 feet that I can't use.
I'll double it for the whole thing for you.
What?
I'll double that, 2,000 for the whole thing, the whole lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for your patience and sitting here all night.
Well,
Waiting
thank
for your
you.
turn.
But
So.
that's what was getting to me for it. My money is running short.
We'll feel your pain.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
So, well, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Have a great night.
Who's second, right?
What's left of it?
All right.
Bill, this is Bill did.
Who made you made the second?
I did.
Let me know when you ladies are ready. You ready? Are we calling, Drew?
Yep.
Okay.
This one's,
This is probably gonna be Derek that answers.
this is so cut and dry, even the assessors already made a recommendation, so call
They
it.
have,
Oh, yeah.
and so when he came in and said, they said they were gonna fix it, I'm like, I don't know if I would.
We're gonna move that forward really quick. Hopefully they answer.
No.
Go for it.
You said that before.
This guy might have
Because I
to
messed
do
with
it
them
for
earlier.
kids.
What?
It's the odd year election.
Tension over here.
There's tension?
So blackers.
This is Derek.
Hey Derek, Jennifer up at City Hall, how are you?
Hey, Jennifer, how's it going?
Good, hey, thanks for being patient. We're here, I got everybody here, give us a couple seconds and we'll get going on your appeal, okay?
Okay.
Alright, thanks.
Alright, this is item L, appeal for Christie Grove.
Board, the county had this property initially at $52,291. They recommend changing that to $16,513 due to a different mobile home being moved onto the location, as was noted by the appellant.
I'll make a motion to affirm the assessor's recommendation and value the property, the house, at $16,513.
Second.
The motion is second to accept the assessor's recommendation of $16,513. Any discussion there?
What was there? What was the amount?
15.5.
$15,500.
Sorry.
Did you just buy this thing, Derek?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding you guys.
Did you just purchase this and move this home in?
Yeah, I just moved it in. So when I went to equalization, you guys had it's assessed wrong. You had the assessment on the 2018.
So are you good? Would you be good with 16,513 that the county changed theirs to 16,513? Are you okay with that?
16,513?
Yeah, $1,000 higher than what you guys have.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, we're ready to vote then.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Oh, sorry, motion to affirm the county's
Oh, I
decision.
haven't read that.
Very good.
Motion will second.
Any opposed? All right, you're gonna be set at 16,513.
Thanks, Derek.
All right,
Thanks, Derek.
See ya.
Yep.
Bye, good night.
Response you? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I know, I hope everybody's still up, because I'm calling them.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'd let it ring. Oh, just leave.
Just on the same thing, the house is less than.
Hello?
Hey, is this James?
Yeah.
Hey, James, Jennifer at the city.
Yeah.
Thanks for being so patient. I got everybody here and we're gonna get going on your appeal, okay?
Okay.
Alright, thanks.
All right, this is item M, appeal 8XGN.
$89. The appellant is requesting $132,500. And the land at 100,000 for a total. No,
He wants
for
to
a
do
total of 132,500.
And 80,000 and 52,500.
Land is
Second. Yes.
Motion and a second for 132,500. 100 for the land.
Yep,
And 32,500 for the building.
correct.
Any discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yes.
It is.
We have appeal J.
You ready?
5.9.
Never mind, we're ready to bed.
Are you ready?
You especially drive to Pennsylvania. You said, well, you
Yep,
here.
that was not bad. I think it's early in there, though.
All right, thanks.
Last year, the appellant is requesting $208,000. Note in your packets, the appellant provided an appraisal that was done in, I believe it was 2021.
Yes.
Which had the property at $211,000.
Okay. Well, one, the way you guys got it priced that was what, 235?
225.
225? I don't want to come across as downgrading my property, but you guys get a look at where I'm gonna boast it, I'm gonna devalue it. I believe that this property is valued more than what everything else is combined around me, other than the eightplex on Cherry. But yet, in the same token, I live in I'm just going to say it for lack of better words, a dilapidated trailer court. And I live on a gravel road. The taxes that I pay, you guys want $3,600, $3,300 a year for taxes. The city doesn't plow the road.
Well, you live on a private street. We plow it?
It's not a trailer.
Yeah, we plow that, so it's a road.
It's an undeveloped road that the city didn't take care of. It's a gravel road. I live in the middle of town on a gravel road. And over the last, I'm not even on the 5-year plan to get the road paved.
You can actually speed that process up by going and collecting signatures from your neighbors to get on the list.
Well, my neighbors rent. There's only 2 people on my street that actually own their homes. Everybody rents from Rock Huber. So they could care less, if you understand what I'm saying. They rent. They don't own. Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
What was the reason for it?
Yeah.
At the time, I was turning, at that time, 3 years ago, it wasn't a home. It was my shop. I had to have it reappraised. I had to have it rezoned because I was turning my shop into a home. So it's a shops, for lack of better words. So I had it rezoned because I was developing it into a home. I transferred my shop into a house.
So when they did this appraisal that long ago, like that's what the market value for that property in that location was, right?
Yes, but, okay, and if you guys can see, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's 4, I don't know what you call them. You got a trailer park, you got a single house development, you have a mobile home, and it is zoned in 4 different sections in that block. Residential, mobile home, business, and at that time mine was a R2 residential / because I had my garage as part of my shop, so I had an R2, I believe, but I never turned it into a shop. So it's basically an R1, for lack of better terms. So, listen, I'm paying do you guys want me to pay $3,600 a year?
Well, according to the bank that ordered this appraisal, that's what the property is worth, $212,000 2 or 3 years ago. The thing I know about property is it has appreciated since then.
Okay, so so in your opinion, your guys' opinion, if I could get $235,000 for it, I'd sell it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't have two questions. If somebody came up and gave me $235,000, I'd sell that thing in a heartbeat. Wouldn't even think twice about it.
Well, it was just appraised by a professional appraiser 3 years ago for $215,000. Like
250.
211.
Or 211. Sorry, 211.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So, okay, in your guys' opinion, what do you think it's worth? In the development, I'm in right now on an unpaved road, gravel road, no curb and gutter.
Did that stuff move whenever the appraisal came back at that number?
It was higher than the guy that appraised it to me told me flat out, if I was in a different area in town, it would appraise higher.
Yeah.
But since I'm living where I'm at,
So he
it appraised low.
So we factored in the road and the neighborhood and everything and set it 211 2 years ago.
Right.
So if we
I will
just
make a
look at-
motion to deny the appeal and keep it as what the city or the county had it. Second.
A motion second to leave it to the county at assessment at 225,175. Any discussion there? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and if you want to appeal it again, Mike, you can bring it to the county and appeal it through them.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hello?
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 Are you there?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. So you guys are, I can barely hear you guys. You're basically telling me you're denying me on that?
That's correct.
Yes. And then you take it to the county as your next step, as they're the ones that set it.
Yeah, we don't set it, the county does.
These taxes are through the county.
So you're telling me that my house is, you're assessing my house at what now? 225.
The county is.
That's what the county had assessed it at, and we are leaving it, we are voting to leave it what the county had assessed it at 225,175.
So you think my house is worth 225?
Hey, the appraiser that you hired said it was.
I didn't hire. No, I didn't hire him. I had to have a mortgage on my house. Loan Depot hired this guy. I didn't hire him. The bank hired him.
Yeah.
And they're a professional appraiser?
Yes.
Okay. And so we're gonna take their professional opinion on this. And
At 211.
No.
But yet you're gonna leave it at
2 years ago,
225.
from 2 years ago, and then you bump it up for the inflation. Okay. So your
if you're
next
not
step,
happy with that, you can appeal it with the county. But we've made our decision.
So what's it gonna be worth if I ever get my road done?
I don't know, Mike.
Like I said, have an assessor evaluate it at that time.
Hey, Mike, we gotta move on and finish up this meeting. Can we let you go?
I guess you guys are in control.
Thank you. Goodbye.
All right. Any other items, everybody?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 10:42. It's been a long time since 7 p.m.
I was only since 8.
Buddy. Buddy.
Good job, everybody. Good job.
Quick meeting.
you're gonna punch late tonight.
I'm gonna look at his phone and see if the message is on there.